Welcome again to 10 with Ken. I'm Ken Steele. Last week we looked at some cautionary tales regarding higher ed branding, and we looked at some pretty cautious rebrands that we've seen as a result. But thankfully there are plenty of examples of the opposite as well. Colleges or universities that develop bold brand positions or launch campaigns that are deliberately provocative in order to grab attention. This week let's look at some truly bold Canadian higher ed brands. Some were controversial, some proved sex sells, and one was so powerful it's just been stolen by the University of Phoenix. Let's take 10 and take notes. Academic institutions are profoundly traditional institutions, rooted in a 1,000-year history. The oldest tend to use their coats of arms as official logos, and take delight in neo-Gothic architecture and archaic ceremonies. But even the staunchest traditionalists and greatest critics of commercial marketing techniques would agree that they want their institution to have a national or international profile, a respected reputation. They want their institution to have a strong brand, even if they don't like the word. Over the past couple of decades, Canadian institutions have begun to get truly strategic about their brands. I think the trend started in Toronto, where half a dozen institutions are competing for market share and for top students. I think York University was the first to get outright aggressive about its brand. Under the leadership of my friend Richard Fisher, who was Chief Marketing Officer at the time, York University launched a long-lived campaign positioning itself as the interdisciplinary university.
Question every angle, study every angle, research every angle. Welcome to York, the interdisciplinary university.
York's brand campaign was especially bold because of its aggressive use of media, blanketing Toronto transit advertising, and in particular, dominating the St. George subway station, immediately beneath the University of Toronto campus. It was pretty audacious to flood the doorstep of its biggest competitor with advertising, cheerleaders, and a mascot handing out York swag. I think York paved the way for institutions to buy media more aggressively and poach students from each other's backyards. This is especially true for smaller institutions in remote locations who desperately want attention in the overcrowded Toronto and Calgary markets. We've seen Memorial University buy up transit shelters on routes heading to major undergraduate campuses across the country to promote its graduate programs on the edge. The University of Saskatchewan has bought transit ads in Calgary, dissing Edmonton as a study destination. And St. Mary's University put up a billboard across the street from Cape Breton University, urging students to make the effort to go to Halifax for their education. Sometimes these campaigns get a lot more controversial, though. A classic example came from Lakehead University 10 years ago. Lakehead seemed to be deliberately courting controversy with its 2006 campaign. It took on Yale University and then-President George W. Bush to boot. Lakehead plastered downtown Toronto construction hoardings with posters pointing to their microsite, yaleschmail.com. The punchline? Graduating from an Ivy League university doesn't mean you're smart. I think the campaign probably had a solid objective: to get prospective students and parents to reconsider their obsession with reputation rankings, and to think instead about how much students actually learn, what Maclean's called value-added education. But the approach was a lot more controversial than most institutions would want. Yale Schmail got headlines worldwide. In fact, more than $1 million of unpaid media exposure. The media loves controversy, so interest was fueled and sustained by public criticism from Lakehead's Faculty Association and Student Union, who called the campaign repugnant and worried that it devalued the institution. Reporters asked Yale to comment, but they took the high road. I have no idea whether the White House took notice or not, but within days the campaign was yanked and replaced with some much tamer ads. In the end, though, Lakehead University reported that its enrollment volumes rose, which was of course the only objective of the provocative campaign. It raises the questions: do the ends justify the means? Is any publicity good publicity? The next year, the Sault Ste. Marie campus of Laurentian gained its independence as Algoma University, and in 2008 launched another negative ad campaign, this time against the fictitious Colossal U. Colossal U, we were told, had such large classes that students had to take a number to see their professor. Graduates were cookie-cutter students coming off an assembly line. The fake microsite for Colossal U had good audience-based navigation, with options for sheep, shepherds, and mutton, which I assume are students, faculty, and alumni. Algoma even devoted half of its floor space at the Ontario University's fair that fall to the fictitious Colossal U. Its exhibit depicted students sinking into the concrete, trying in vain to get the attention of their professor on a TV set at the front of the room. It was just a bit creepy. Like Yale Schmale, I think the basic objective of Colossal U made sense. Position the big Toronto universities as impersonal factories, compared to the quality of education you get at a small northern school like Algoma. But not only was the campaign more negative than necessary, I think the strategy was far too clever for its own good. Algoma University's big challenge in the GTA was that no one had ever heard of it. Spending its limited marketing budget promoting a fictitious Colossal U did nothing to overcome that primary obstacle. Some institutions have recognized that complexity can be the enemy of effective strategy, and that in fact the teenage brain could be considered much simpler, and a direct appeal could be made the way beer companies have always done. In other words, sex sells. In 2007, Education New Zealand launched a series of pretty racy ads for Asian markets designed to attract teenagers by exhorting them to get further away from your parents.
Together for I can see just you and me, you and me together for I can see just you and me, you and me together for I can see just you and me together forever.
As you might expect, the ad was quickly yanked from circulation, and although I've shown it to quite a few audiences over the years, nobody's tried to imitate it, until Algoma University did. The next campaign from Algoma, in 2009, dropped Colossal U entirely, and instead argued that Toronto teenagers should get 681 kilometers away from their parents. The Plan Your Escape campaign again generated a bit of controversy, but mainly on campus. The student union held a town hall to hear concerns. Unlike Yale Schmale, the Plan Your Escape campaign didn't attract international media attention, but it may have been far more effective at recruiting students. Algoma reported its 2010 enrollment rose 10%. Far exceeding expectations. Still, I can't help noticing that Algoma's ad campaigns since then have been decidedly less controversial. Using sexual innuendo to sell higher education is one thing, but one small US college decided to go with explicit sexual language instead. Somebody at Oberlin College in Ohio may have entirely lost their mind in 2011 when they launched a new recruitment microsite called whythefshouldichoose.oberlin.com. The microsite features hundreds of testimonials from alumni and students, all liberally sprinkled with F-bombs. Some draw attention to themselves just by omitting the F word. Visitors are encouraged to add their own reasons. Even the microsite's About Us page is laden with expletives. The microsite reportedly pulled more than 1.5 million page views in its first 5 months. Microsite co-founder Mayan Plout argues that sometimes you have to speak applicants' own language, and that authenticity isn't something you can manufacture. And while the site prominently proclaims that it is not officially associated with the college, she is Oberlin's social media coordinator. So frankly, it is. Higher ed marketers seem to have a popular strategy. Launch a controversial campaign, quickly yank it, perhaps disavow it, and hope for the best. The old, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. But last year we saw a Francophone university in New Brunswick not only pull off a more tasteful appeal to the teenage libido, but stick to its guns instead of backing down in the face of opposition. Université de Moncton had done its market research and knew that traditional-age students aren't just looking for academics and employment outcomes, but are also looking for student experience, for a lifestyle. Last January, Moncton launched an upbeat recruitment ad that showed students working hard and playing hard, fiercely proud of their language, working in laboratory clean rooms and the stock exchange, doing algebra and playing hockey. But it also depicted students at play, outdoors, at concerts, at a beach party, and the public grew preoccupied with a single moment in particular set in the library stacks.
À l'Université de Moncton, notre langue, c'est une fierté. Une force. C'est la langue du progrès, des affaires, puis des autres affaires. C'est la langue de l'ambition, de la découverte. Celle avec laquelle on réplique. on s'affirme. Notre langue, ici, c'est le français. Et ici, c'est votre université.
Predictably, controversy erupted almost immediately on social media. Remember, this was at the peak of the scandal over the Dow Dentistry sexist Facebook group. Political correctness was running full throttle. On Twitter, opinion was divided between those who asked sharply, "C'est quoi le message?" and those who mocked the critics, whose tongues were set wagging by a little bit of tongue in the library. Naturally, the Faculty Association objected to selling the university like a six-pack of beer. Worldwide, the media pounced. Britain's Daily Mail reported breathlessly the outrage over an ad that depicted two attractive students hooking up in the library. Check with your kids, but if that's hooking up, I don't think they're doing it right. Canada's National Post called the ad hot, sweaty, and risque. CBC News suggested that the controversial ad might just be increasing attention in the university, quoting Moncton's new communications director, Marc Anger, who said all the media attention was great. He shared with me a media monitoring report indicating that the ad generated more than $300,000 worth of earned media coverage during January alone. The YouTube video reached more than 170,000 viewers in its first week. I do wish we had numbers like that. But what was the impact of the KISS ad on Moncton enrollments last fall? At first glance, the numbers from MPEC looked disappointing, showing a 4.4% overall decline in enrollment. But recruitment director Dennis Boucher points out that their enrollment of first-year Canadian students rose 22%, and their enrollment of out-of-province first-year students rose by an astounding 66%. It's never easy to disentangle the various factors that contribute to enrollment results, but I'd have to assume that the ad did no harm to Moncton's recruitment efforts last year. In this episode, we've been focusing on some controversial, deliberately provocative campaigns. But of course, a brand campaign can be bold without being controversial. Last year, we saw a great example come from Bow Valley College in Calgary. For their 50th anniversary, Bow Valley launched an upbeat recruitment campaign based on the theme, Success Rises. I think the slogan is nicely appropriate for Bow Valley's downtown campus, which has been rising up to become part of the cityscape. But first and foremost, it emphasizes the way in which they support new Canadians, retraining adults, and the unemployed to rise up above their circumstances through education and employment.
I rise with Bow Valley College.
Opportunity rises with Bow Valley College.
Success rises with Bow Valley College.
Commerce rises with Bow Valley College.
Women rise with Bow Valley College.
Calgary rises with Bow Valley College.
Last June, Bow Valley launched the 1,000 Women Rising fundraising campaign to raise $1 million to help women overcome barriers to education.
We're all part of a movement called 1,000 Women Rising at Bow Valley College, a movement we'd like you to join. Bow Valley College knows the barriers women face. 75% of their students are women, with many juggling multiple responsibilities of school, a job, and caring for family members. The challenge of getting an education can be truly overwhelming. So please, join us, and let's do something magnificent for women. 1,000 Women Rising.
I think the We All Rise theme is powerful and perfect for Bow Valley College, and the 1,000 Women Rising social justice campaign is nicely integrated. But sadly, a great idea is quickly stolen. Just this month, the largest university in the world, the University of Phoenix, proudly unveiled their new brand campaign, We Rise.
This is not something that we typically do here at the University of Phoenix, which is celebrate the kickoff of a brand new marketing platform.
It's time the world saw us for who we really are. We are honest, we are humble, we are transparent. Soon, the world will see what it takes to be a Phoenix. They'll hear the words, we rise.
We are in this together. We're dependent upon each other to successfully help our students rise.
We're not just showing the world what it really means to be a Phoenix. We're reminding them to never underestimate what the human spirit is capable of.
Well, I guess imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, but no public Canadian college wants to get into trademark litigation with an American behemoth that spends billions on marketing. Bow Valley's director of marketing, Mark Szabo, hides his frustration well and tells me they already have a new campaign planned. I hope it's as powerful as the last. Well, as you've probably noticed, we are out of time. Thanks again for taking 10 or so with me. We've now looked at some of last year's more cautious rebrands, as well as some of the bolder and more controversial ones. Next week, we'll finish our review of 2015 rebrands with a look at name changes and nicknames. I hope you'll join me. Meanwhile, check out dozens of previous episodes on iTunes or YouTube. And if you subscribe to our free email newsletter, you'll get exclusive early access to upcoming episodes a full week before the general public. But one last thing before you go. Concordia University's Stingers Athletics underwent a dramatic facelift last summer to drive increased fan support with a new look that combined retro styling and street cred. The old cartoon mascot, which might have been just a little too comfortable on a jar of honey, has been replaced with a much more aggressive gangsta insect designed by street artist 123 Clan. In addition to new team uniforms, Stingers Athletics has launched a whole campaign, Stingers United, to build a sense of school spirit and team pride. Here's an excerpt, just in case you missed it.
There's only so far you could go alone. Only so many yards you could gain. So much ice you can defend by yourself. That's why we unite. We unite to create a force so potent it spills out of classrooms and stadiums to infect an entire neighborhood. And so concentrated it can be distilled into a single jersey. Because it's not your personal best. Until it makes each and every one of us better. Stingers United.